Hey everyone, welcome back to Speak Up. I'm Ryan, your host, and today we're diving into something that can have a massive impact on your life: daily habits. These aren't just any habits, though. We're talking about the small, consistent actions that some of the most successful people in the world use to get ahead. The beauty of habits is that they're manageable. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight to see progress. Stick around, because we're going to break down practical steps you can take to build success into your everyday life. And the best part? You can start as early as tomorrow.
Hey everyone, I'm Priya, and I couldn't agree more with Ryan. Habits are like compound interest for your life. The little things you do every day really add up over time. So, what are we covering today? We'll talk about the morning routines of successful people, how they manage their time like pros, and how they never stop learning. Plus, we'll dive into how they build meaningful relationships and end their day with reflection and gratitude. Each of these habits is something you can easily start integrating into your own routine. By the end of this episode, you'll have a clear idea of how to take these habits and make them work for you.
Exactly, Priya. We're not just throwing out random tips here. We're going to give real examples from people like Tim Cook, Oprah Winfrey, and Elon Musk. But more importantly, we'll show you how to adapt their habits in a way that fits your life. This isn't about becoming a different person overnight. It's about taking small steps that make a big difference. So whether you're looking to boost productivity, improve focus, or just feel more in control of your day, this episode is packed with actionable insights. Let's jump in.
In today's episode, we'll be breaking down some powerful habits that successful people use every day. First, we'll dive into morning routines. How top achievers like Tim Cook and Oprah Winfrey start their day with intention and purpose. Next, we'll talk about time management and how they master their schedules to stay focused on what really matters. We'll also touch on continuous learning, showing why lifelong learning is something they never skip. Then, we'll move on to the importance of networking and how building strong, meaningful relationships plays a huge role in their success. Finally, we'll wrap it up with reflection and gratitude, showing you how ending the day on a positive note can set the stage for even more success. By the end of the episode, you'll have clear, actionable steps to apply these habits in your own life.
Let's kick things off by talking about morning routines. This is one habit that almost every successful person swears by, and there's a good reason for it. How you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. Take Tim Cook, for example. The guy is running one of the biggest companies in the world, and he starts his day at 4:30 a.m. Now, I know waking up that early sounds extreme, but here's the key. It's not just about the time you wake up, it's about what you do with that time. Tim uses those early hours to get a head start. He's checking emails, organizing his priorities, and essentially getting in control before his day really begins. Even if you're not an early riser, the takeaway here is that having a purposeful morning routine helps you stay ahead rather than constantly playing catch-up.
Exactly, Ryan. It's about being proactive, not reactive. You know, Oprah Winfrey is another great example of this. She's a big advocate for starting the day with mindfulness, and her morning routine includes meditation and keeping a gratitude journal. It's such a simple habit, but it makes a huge difference. Think about it. By taking just 5 or 10 minutes in the morning to meditate or reflect on what you're grateful for, you're shifting your focus away from stress and towards positivity. You're basically setting the mental tone for your day. And what I love about this is how easy it is to implement. You don't need fancy tools or a ton of time. Just a quiet space and a few minutes to center yourself. It's something anyone can do, no matter how busy they are.
Right. And it's those small steps that really add up. Another key element in a lot of successful morning routines is exercise. Richard Branson, for example, credits his productivity to the fact that he exercises every morning. He says it gives him an extra 4 hours of productivity each day. Now, we're not saying you need to hit the gym for an hour before sunrise, but even just 15 or 20 minutes of moving your body can do wonders for your energy and focus. Whether it's a quick jog, some stretches, or even a few minutes of yoga, getting that blood flowing in the morning helps clear your mind and set you up to tackle the day.
Exactly. And the beauty of it is that it's all scalable. You don't need to wake up at 4:30 a.m. or run marathons like Branson. Start with something small, like waking up just 15 minutes earlier than usual and using that time for a mini workout or a short meditation session. The important thing is consistency. Over time, these small actions build up and can dramatically improve how you feel and perform throughout the day. And it doesn't matter if you're a morning person or not. You can customize your routine to fit your life. What's important is taking control of your morning instead of letting the day run away from you.
Exactly, Priya. The goal isn't to make radical changes overnight. It's about creating a routine that sets you up for success, one step at a time. And for those listening, think about what simple habit you can start tomorrow morning. Maybe it's 5 minutes of journaling, a short walk, or just spending a few moments organizing your thoughts. You'll be surprised how much more in control and focused you feel by starting your day with intention. Trust me, those small habits lead to big changes over time. All right, let's move on to the next habit that's crucial for success: time management. It's no secret that successful people are masters of their time. The difference between them and most others? They don't just fill their days, they prioritize the right tasks and focus on what truly moves the needle. One of the best examples of this is Elon Musk. He's known for using a technique called time blocking, where he schedules his entire day in 5-minute chunks. Now I get it, that sounds intense, but the principle here is key. By blocking out time for specific tasks, you eliminate distractions and stay laser-focused on what needs to get done. Even if you're not scheduling down to the minute like Musk, just organizing your day into blocks of focused work time can make a massive difference in productivity.
Exactly. And that brings us to the idea of prioritization. Another great example here is Warren Buffett. He uses what's called the to-list strategy. He writes down his top 25 goals, but only focuses on the top 5. The remaining 20? He deliberately avoids them because they're distractions. Even if they're important, they're not the most important. That's such a powerful takeaway. It's not just about working hard, it's about working on the right things. For most of us, the to-do list can get overwhelming, and the trick is to figure out what your highest priorities are for the day. Start by identifying your top 3 tasks that absolutely need to get done. By focusing on those first, you ensure that you're moving forward on what really matters.
That's a great point, Priya. It's about cutting through the noise. When you focus on just a few critical tasks, you can make real progress instead of bouncing between a bunch of smaller, less impactful things. One technique I personally love is the Pomodoro technique. It's simple. You work in focused 25-minute bursts with 5-minute breaks in between. After 4 sessions, you take a longer break. It's perfect for staying productive without burning out. And again, this doesn't have to be super rigid. Maybe you just decide to block out the first 2 hours of your morning for your most important tasks. The key is to minimize distractions during that time and focus deeply.
Absolutely. And another really practical tip that works for me is what I call the 2-minute rule. If a task is going to take less than 2 minutes, whether it's replying to an email or making a quick phone call, do it immediately. Don't put it off. It's amazing how quickly small tasks can pile up and drain your energy if you let them linger. Successful people don't let those little things hang over their heads. They knock them out quickly, freeing up mental space for more important work. This habit might seem minor, but it can really reduce your mental clutter and help you stay on top of things.
Exactly. And what we're talking about here isn't about working longer hours or packing more into your day. It's about being deliberate with your time. Successful people know that time is their most valuable resource, and they treat it as such. Whether it's through time blocking, prioritizing tasks, or using techniques like Pomodoro or the 2-minute rule, the focus is on making the most of the hours you have, not adding more to your plate. So, for our listeners, think about how you can better manage your time. Maybe start with just planning out the first few hours of your day or identifying your top 3 priorities. Small changes can lead to big improvements. Let's dive into the next habit: continuous learning. One thing almost all successful people have in common is a deep commitment to lifelong learning. They don't just stop once they've reached a certain level of success. They keep growing, evolving, and staying curious. A prime example is Bill Gates. Even though he's one of the busiest and most successful people on the planet, he dedicates an hour each day to reading. He calls it his learning hour. And it's not just casual reading. He's always absorbing new information, learning about technology, health, or global issues. The lesson here is that growth doesn't stop. It's not just about formal education. It's about constantly feeding your mind with new ideas.
Exactly. And it's not just Bill Gates. Take Warren Buffett, who spends 80% of his day reading. He's famously said, "The more you learn, the more you earn." But I get it, for most of us, finding even an hour a day to dedicate to learning can seem impossible. But here's the thing. You don't have to start big. Begin with something manageable, like 15 minutes of reading in the morning or during your commute. And it doesn't have to be books. Podcasts, audiobooks, and even educational videos work just as well. I personally like listening to TED Talks while I'm cooking dinner. The key is to make learning a daily habit, even in small increments. Over time, those small bits of knowledge add up.
Totally, Priya. And speaking of small increments, one way to fit more learning into your day is to take advantage of dead time. Commutes, waiting in lines, or even doing chores can be great opportunities to squeeze in a bit of learning. One of my favorite ways to do this is through audiobooks or educational podcasts. Think of it as turning passive time into productive time. If you're listening to this podcast right now, you're already on the right track. Continuous learning is about staying curious and pushing yourself to explore new areas of knowledge, whether it's for personal growth or professional development.
And it's not just about consuming information, it's about applying what you learn. That's what really sets successful people apart. For example, Mark Zuckerberg sets a yearly learning challenge for himself, like learning Mandarin or reading 25 books in a year. The point isn't just to accumulate knowledge, but to push yourself out of your comfort zone and actively use that knowledge to grow. So, a practical tip for our listeners: set a small, achievable learning goal for yourself each week. Maybe it's reading a chapter of a book or watching a documentary on a topic you're unfamiliar with. The goal is to always be learning something new.
Exactly, Priya. Lifelong learning doesn't have to be overwhelming. It's about building it into your routine, just like any other habit. And here's the thing. The world is constantly changing. If you're not learning, you're falling behind. Whether it's staying up to date with industry trends, developing a new skill, or simply broadening your perspective, the key is to never stop growing. So, for our listeners, think about where you can carve out just 10 to 15 minutes a day to focus on learning. Start with something small and see how it impacts your thinking, your productivity, and even your confidence over time. Now let's talk about something that's often overlooked, but is incredibly important for long-term success: networking and building relationships. It's no secret that successful people surround themselves with other successful, driven individuals. But here's the key. They don't just build superficial networks, they cultivate meaningful relationships. Take Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, for example. These two are not only business icons, but they've been close friends for decades. Their friendship has brought them both immense value, not just in terms of business, but also through personal growth and shared learning. It's proof that your network really is your net worth, but it has to be genuine.
Exactly, Ryan. And one thing that stands out about people like Gates and Buffett is that they approach networking with a mindset of giving, not taking. Sheryl Sandberg, the COO of Facebook, has this great philosophy. She always tries to offer help before asking for a favor. It's about building trust and showing value in your relationships. A practical tip here for our listeners: instead of thinking about networking as, "What can I get out of this?" flip the mindset to, "What can I offer?" It could be as simple as sharing an interesting article with a colleague or offering to help someone on a project. Building strong relationships starts with small, thoughtful actions.
That's a great point, Priya. It's all about nurturing connections, not just collecting contacts. One strategy that I've found helpful is to regularly check in with people in your network, even if it's just a quick message to see how they're doing. Successful people are great at staying connected. Take Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn. He's known for reaching out to his network on a regular basis, even if it's just to share something valuable or catch up. It shows you're thinking of them, and it helps you stay top of mind without it feeling transactional. So for our listeners, think about someone you haven't spoken to in a while. Could be a mentor, an old colleague, or even a family member, and send a quick message today.
Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be complicated. You can start by building small habits around networking. One idea is to set a weekly goal to reach out to one person in your professional or personal network, whether that's a simple thank you message or just checking in. These small actions compound over time and can lead to deeper relationships. And don't forget about in-person networking. Attending events, joining local groups, or even just grabbing coffee with someone can make a big difference. You never know how one conversation can open up new opportunities.
Exactly. And here's the thing. Successful networking is intentional. It's about quality, not quantity. It's far better to have a small group of trusted, meaningful connections than a large, disconnected network. Think of relationships like investments. The more you nurture them, the more valuable they become over time. For our listeners, I'd challenge you to think about how you can add value to someone's life today, whether it's through a quick message or offering help without expecting anything in return. Building a strong network isn't just about your career, it's about surrounding yourself with people who inspire, support, and challenge you to grow. Let's wrap up with one of the most underrated but incredibly powerful habits of successful people: reflection and gratitude. Many high achievers end their day with some form of reflection, whether it's journaling, meditation, or just taking a few quiet moments to think. A great example is Oprah Winfrey. She has kept a gratitude journal for years, and she's often credited this simple habit as one of the keys to her success. Every night, she writes down at least 5 things she's grateful for, no matter how big or small. It's about training your mind to focus on the positive and to acknowledge progress, even on tough days. Gratitude helps you stay grounded and keeps you from getting overwhelmed by the challenges.
Exactly, Ryan. And what's so great about this habit is that it's incredibly easy to start, but it has a huge impact on your mindset. Studies even show that practicing gratitude can improve mental health and sleep quality. And it doesn't have to take a long time. Spending just a few minutes at the end of your day reflecting on what went well or what you're thankful for can shift your entire perspective. I've personally found that when I make time to journal or even mentally reflect on a win from my day, I feel more accomplished and less stressed. It's a great way to wind down, and you start the next day with a clearer, more positive mindset.
Yeah, I love that, Priya. And another important part of this is reflection. Successful people often take time at the end of the day to think about what they accomplished, what didn't go as planned, and what they can improve tomorrow. It's not just about focusing on what went well, but also learning from mistakes or setbacks. For example, Benjamin Franklin was famous for his nightly reflection routine. Every night he asked himself, "What good have I done today?" It's a simple question, but it forces you to take stock of your actions, keep yourself accountable, and plan for a better tomorrow.
Right. And that's such a valuable habit because it builds self-awareness. You can't grow if you don't take time to reflect on where you're at and where you want to go. A practical tip for our listeners would be to set aside just 5 to 10 minutes at the end of your day. You don't need to write an essay. Just jot down a couple of things you're proud of or lessons you've learned. This can be done digitally or with a pen and paper. And even if you're not a fan of journaling, just taking a moment before bed to mentally reflect on your day can be incredibly powerful. Plus, it helps you close the day with intention rather than letting the stress of unfinished tasks linger.
Exactly. It's all about creating closure. Reflection and gratitude help you put the day into perspective, and that's crucial for long-term growth. So for our listeners, start small. Maybe tonight, before you go to bed, take 5 minutes to think about what went well today or what you're thankful for. It's a simple habit that can change the way you approach not just your day, but your life. And over time, these small reflections help you learn from your experiences and keep you focused on what really matters. It's a habit anyone can build, and it's one of the easiest ways to stay grounded and mindful on the journey to success. So, there you have it. 5 key habits that successful people live by, and the best part is, these habits are all within reach for anyone listening today. We've talked about the power of starting your day with a strong morning routine, how time management can help you prioritize what truly matters, the importance of continuous learning to keep growing, how networking and building meaningful relationships can elevate your success, and finally, the habit of reflection and gratitude to stay grounded and learn from your day. Success isn't built overnight, but with these habits, you're setting yourself up for consistent, steady growth. The great thing is, you don't need to do them all at once. Start small, pick one, and work it into your routine.
That's right, Ryan. The key is to make these habits your own. Think about your life and what would make the biggest impact for you. Maybe it's setting a better morning routine, or maybe it's learning how to manage your time more effectively. These habits have worked for some of the most successful people in the world, but they're also incredibly practical and adaptable for anyone. So, what's your first step? Choose one habit from today's episode and start implementing it tomorrow. Whether it's spending a few minutes journaling in the morning or reaching out to someone in your network, every small step counts.
Exactly. And for all of our listeners, we'd love to hear what habit you're going to focus on this week. Let us know in the comments or reach out to us on social media. And remember, consistency is key. It's not about perfection, but about showing up every day, making small improvements, and sticking with it. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Speak Up so you never miss an episode filled with actionable tips to help you reach your full potential.
Absolutely. And if you found any of these habits helpful, share this episode with a friend who might need a little inspiration to get started on their own path to success. Also, if you've got any questions or topics you want us to cover in future episodes, we're always open to suggestions. Success is a journey, and we're here to help you along the way, one habit at a time. Thanks for tuning in to Speak Up. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks, everyone. And remember, success isn't just about talent or luck. It's about those daily, consistent actions that push you forward. Start today, and who knows where you'll be a year from now. See you in the next episode.